a cause for national and family celebrations. What the hell's that like when you're on the balcony?
The Queen goes out the centre door, then all the cousins go to the sides.
So I'm meeting the cousins, who'll share with me what it means to be part of this extraordinary family.
The Queen Mother has said that Mummy was like a third daughter.
Yeah. Revealing more about their most famous relation through private letters. With love from your godmother, Elizabeth. Personal photographs and rare memorabilia.
So this is all the European families. Nadine is your mother?
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
gosh, yes.
Sharing treasured memories for the very first time.
I always got a Christmas present. I got the Twister.
From the Queen?
Yes.
I'll be learning more about royal life in modern Britain.
I certainly was put in Queen as a potential partner for Prince Charles.
And I get called Lady Mountbatten at work a lot.
On this road trip through the dynasties.
How many would you estimate there to be?
So many is not true. They bred like rabbits.
And can I find a new cousin to take their place in the royal family tree?
We have found some connections.
Oh, wow.
And we can confirm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not again. Hello?
Mrs. Romanoff.
Technically, no. Mrs. Romanoff would be my mother. What are you selling me?
Oh, well, this is very exciting. I'm on my way to meet my first of the Queen's cousins, Princess Olga Romanov. As you can see, I've travelled to inner Bulgaria. That's nonsense, we're in Kent. We're right in the middle of Kent, Kentish countryside.
You can't really stop dust in a place like this. Even if I had a full staff, it would be pretty tricky. Oh, yeah.
Olga lives at Provender House, which dates back to the 13th century. Often in the company of daughter Alexandra, affectionately known as Poggy.
Why are you taking my tea towels and not their tea towels?
You haven't washed them.
I have!
Where? What, these aren't washed?
And grandson Andrew.
Andrew, can I have a biscuit? Andrew!
Princess Olga Romanov. Her great-uncle was Tsar Nicholas II, the famous last Tsar of Russia, who was a first cousin of George V. They looked almost identical, I think. They had sort of big moustaches. So therefore, Olga is the Queen's third cousin. She's a princess. She's called Olga.
The Queen used to take Charles and Anne to have tea with my grandmother, and they apparently had beautiful manners, and I had terrible manners.
With no family riches to fall back on, this 30-room house has to pay its way. So Olga and her daughter now run one wing as a holiday let.
What are you doing?
I'm just putting that underneath.
No, because I need to hoover.
Oh, sorry, darling.
No, I have to lift up the rug.
That's why I never help my daughter, because she won't let me in.
Ever.
And she says I'm
She's causing
bad,
more issues.
useless. So it's her baby, and I keep out the way.
She does the washing.
So I always said I would never, ever do other people's dirty washing, ever. Luckily, now that this is up and running, this should bring in an income towards the 50-odd grand a year to keep the place.
Mum, we got a crackle.
Is the heating actually on?
Yes.
I can't... OK.
I've turned the radiators down to 2. I'm literally boiling.
Olga is reputed to be a force to be reckoned with. So that's fun. I like forces to be reckoned with. I'm also hoping that she'll be something of a travelling companion for me as I explore my way through the world of the Queen's cousins. Provender House. There we are. Look at this amazing sign. Did it say what time services are?
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Provender.
I'm Alexander.
I'm Olga. Hi.
I call you Olga.
Please do, yes.
And who's this?
Yes, this is Andrew, aged 20 months, the youngest grandchild.
Hello, Andrew.
Doesn't look very impressed, does he? Doesn't
Not
like
yet.
the rain.
No.
Do come in.
Lovely, thank you.
Watch the slipperiness.
An amazing house.
It has its moments.
I bet it has.
Watch your hand. Be careful, because
Look at this.
it eats hands.
Extraordinary door.
It is extraordinary.
Look at that.
Right,
Fabulous.
so I'm going to light the fire, first of all, because we're going to eat lunch in here, and it's really cold, so the fire has to be done first. The portraits in here.
Yeah.
The woman is my mother. In the days There was a man to put logs on the fire before the wood burner. These ugly people are no relation. Granny bought them for wall space because they really are particularly hideous. It would be awful to find out actually that they were related, but I was always told they weren't. They seem to have had their foreheads shaved or something.
Something monstrous going on. Look at her, very magisterial.
Poor woman.
Yeah.
Underneath, there's a photograph of the King and Queen of Denmark, who are my great-great-grandparents. He was known as the father-in-law of Europe because all his daughters married crown heads. One was the Empress of Russia, one was the Queen of England, and his son became the King of Greece. Now, they're also the great-great-grandparents of Prince Philip, the Queen, Constantine of Greece. That's why there's all that interbreeding amongst the royal houses, because you had to stick with your own thing.
Yeah.
Olga is an international cousin to the world. Olga's grandmother, Ksenia Romanov, was first cousin of the Queen's grandfather, George V.
I live in the attic, which was 2 servants' rooms knocked into one.
Yeah.
Watch the step, please.
Oh, yes.
In 1918, Olga's great-uncle, Nicholas II, his wife and their 5 children were all murdered by communist revolutionaries. This massacre of the Russian royal family sent shockwaves around the world. George V sent a ship to the Crimea to rescue his surviving relations. Olga's grandmother and her family were among the lucky few who made it to Britain.
These trunks, this one was Ksenia's, Grand Duchess Ksenia, my grandmother. This was Maria Dagmar's, my great-grandmother's. They came out on HMS Marlborough when they were rescued.
So these were packed in
They were packed by
haste.
servants. They also left the other packing cases and things on the beach, because my great-grandmother, as she was standing in the bows of the ship, said, "What are those?" And the servants had been frightened that they left all the silver and stuff on the beach.
It's a bit like sort of getting furniture out of a burning house.
That's it, yes, but what you rescue first. Yeah. This is the library that has to be the coldest room in the house in winter. It's just unbelievable. Now, there's a photograph of Queen Mary that signs herself Aunt May. She had kind of upmarket kleptomania, because she'd go stay in somebody's house. She'd be sitting on one of a dozen Sheraton chairs, and she'd say, "Oh, I do like this chair," and you'd be obliged to give her all 12.
All 12?
Well, you had to give her the whole lot, not just one
just
chair.
have one.
No, you had to give the lot. So people got wise to this, and they'd say, "Oh, God, Queen Mary's coming to stay." So they'd put the good stuff in the attic and bring the more rotten stuff down. But no, she was famous for it. Absolutely famous.
That's just hilarious.
You know, outside church,
So everybody...
I do like that fur coat, and you'd have to give it to her. Thank God our royal family don't do that. But be very careful to go ahead, because my poor father lived here for 45 years and was always hitting his head.
You just thought you might have learned.
You would have thought, but, you know, people don't learn. Salad looks really nice. The 2 tossers. Sorry, it's taken a while. I didn't put dressing on because I wasn't sure whether you liked dressing or not.
Love some dressing. Okay. No, absolutely. Thank you.
Cheers.
Well, good health. How very lovely to meet you.
Well, it's good to meet
much.
you.
That's grand.
I married a commoner.
Right. I see. That noise, by the way, is the dog. It's not me.
And I'm so sorry.
Not me. What about your wider family? Because obviously you're a third cousin of the Queen.
After the Revolution, when my grandmother came over, she was first cousin of George V, of the Queen at the time, which was the Queen Mother, and I believe that kind of pissed off the Queen Mother, and so his invitations to the palace and all that were kind of...
dried up.
Yeah.
The protocols were so
The protocol was quite strict, yeah. A lot of that is basically a pile of poo. And they thought of it as being a huge thing then, but it really, really is rubbish.
And do you feel robbed? In a way, your family and its legacy, everything's been taken away by history? Or do you feel that actually you've been blessed by not having to carry that sort of yoke around you?
Definitely blessed.
Yeah.
I would have made a lousy imperial princess.
You'd have been a fantastic one.
I think you'd have been great.
What do you think? I scrub up well, but I mean, you don't want to scrub up every day. You want to be smelling of horse, and you don't want to have to be...
I know I do.
Tarted up.
Yeah.
No scrubbing up needed for our royal road trip around the Queen's family tree.
Wow.
Now then, and yes, you can regale me with stories as we go.
Do you think there's a chance it's warm?
Oh, what a good point.
Or perhaps
It is. It's freezing.
My ass is blue again.
No, I'm not surprised. Yes, exactly.
Our first stop will be in Devon to meet a homegrown cousin, a relation of the Queen's father, King George VI, Lord Ivor Mountbatten.
I think I was about 2 inches down. Do you want to walk up?
That was clearly the first shot. Possibly. If you're going to shoot any animal, you want to make sure that your rifle is as accurate as possible. If this was the animal's head, I'd be way off.
Ivor Mountbatten is a cousin on the Queen's paternal side. Ivor's father, David, and the Queen are both great-great-grandchildren of Queen Victoria. His most famous relation was Earl Louis Mountbatten, affectionately known as Dickie.
The Queen was greeted by her cousin, Earl Mountbatten of Burma, who also welcomed his nephew, Prince Philip.
Am I right in thinking that Ivor is related to the Duke of Edinburgh and to the Queen?
Yes,
I mean, that's a double whammy.
so am I. Through the Danes.
Through the Danes. I love the Danes.
Yeah.
Through your orbit of royal relations, how many would you estimate there to be?
The second or third cousin.
Second or third cousins of the
So
Queen.
many it's not true. They bred like rabbits.
A rambling 400-acre Elizabethan estate.
It was like Downton. Yeah, we had a big household staff, literally just for 4 of us. We had something like 12 indoor staff. It was crazy.
In 1997, Ivor and his first spouse, Penny, decided to downsize and moved to the 10-bedroomed Bridwell Park.
Where were we in games last time?
The last couple of times I've played, I've beaten you.
You beat me?
Yep.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and you stop because you're being beaten, and then you say you've got a sore knee or something.
Ivor now shares Bridwell with his husband, James.
No.
Ooh, didn't touch the line, didn't it?
Didn't.
When they married here in 2018, they became the first openly gay couple in royal history.
Yes.
We met in Verbier in Switzerland. And so we sort of chatted for a few minutes, and he's quite intense. And he said, well, maybe we'll have a beer later.
Did I?
Yeah, you asked me.
Really?
I'm far too shy for that sort of thing.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
He said, maybe we'll have a beer later. And we kept in touch and talked for 2-3 hours every single night on the phone before we actually met up again. And then he came up to London, and I saw the teeth.
Let's have a snog.
No.
You got me and you...
Sorry, can you turn the heat down? It's
Sorry, I had a bit, but it's not...
right
yes,
up my nose.
yeah.
Seems to be back to front.
Right,
Normal.
okay, let's...
I'm on a road trip, meeting the Queen's family to find out more about her in this, her 95th year.
I think we're not far away.
Russian Princess Olga Romanov and I are heading to Bridwell Park in Devon to meet a cousin on the Queen's father's side of the royal family tree.
Look, there it is.
Wow.
Lord Ivor Mountbatten.
My wish was always I could have a bedroom that overlooked my park.
Overlooked your
Not going to get
park.
that now.
No, well, you never know. You may.
Ivor and Olga are in fact cousins themselves, although, until now, they've never actually met.
Oh, she's in the back.
And the lovely dogs.
Hello,
Alexander, very nice
How
to
do you
meet
do?
you. Yes.
Very nice
Yeah,
to meet
nice
you.
to meet you too.
Hello,
Hi, this is James.
Come on
Yes.
in. Lovely, thank you.
Well, come into the library because I've got
Okay,
something to
maybe
show
you
you,
should
Olga.
lead the way.
Yeah, probably sensible.
The decor is fantastic. So pretty.
Thank you.
Ivor's great-uncle, Earl Mountbatten, the Queen's cousin and great friend, was fascinated by their family tree.
What I wanted to show you, Olga, Earl Mountbatten, my great-uncle, in 1947 when he was working on partition in India. Yeah. He was working on these relationship tables. So this is all the European families. And I think 175, is where you appear. Nadine is your mother?
Yeah.
Right,
Oh,
okay.
God, yes.
So that's my father's writing. He allocated numbers, I believe, to everybody.
So that's the succinct answer to exactly what I was asking you in the car. Isn't
Absolutely,
it? So basically,
yes,
all you
it's
actually
just
throw me that volume, and I just.
Well, that is
It
obviously
is.
homework for tonight. Getting to bed.
Yeah. Good. No, I'll do that.
So we are second cousins.
I think we're
Third.
second cousins once removed.
Right. And my great-grandfather was a Grand Duke Michael of Russia,
Yes.
who would have been your grandfather's
brother.
brother. Oh, okay. Right.
Sandro's brother.
Sandro, okay.
Was my grandfather.
There's a picture of him up there, actually, at the top.
When he was very young then?
Yes.
How interesting. I've never seen a young photograph of Sandro.
It's time for Olga to leave me to it. James and Ivor give me a quick tour.
So that's my father.
As first cousin and close friend of Prince Philip, Ivor's father was best man at the Queen's wedding.
The bridegroom, Duke of Edinburgh, was ready to make an early start. As it happened, it was a little too early. So, with his best man, the Marquis of Milford Haven, returned indoors until the appointed hour.
And he was best man.
Right. Yeah,
and he's just about the most dashing person.
And here's a picture of him there.
There he is.
Yeah.
And you know the story of her bouquet?
Yes, I do. It disappeared.
Never found.
Nobody ever knew what happened to it.
Yeah.
Actually, it's interesting. You never really noticed that.
Yeah.
But normally a bride would
I think-
always be holding
I think they recalled everyone.
They did.
Do more photographs after.
I think the florist was dispatched.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Extraordinary.
I should imagine the name Mountbatten carries more weight actually than any title. It's better known than even than Windsor.
Well, it does, and as example of my brother, who's the Marquis of Milford Haven.
Yeah,
but
none give the monkeys. Exactly. Yeah, carry on. But James, this is the big question. So, what title do you get?
I don't.
Well, I mean, hey, this is an issue. I mean, if you wanted to stamp your feet, you presumably could.
Well, I mean, I get called Lady Mountbatten at work a lot, and I get curtsies and all sorts. And it's just sometimes you're in the mood for it, and sometimes you're having a rotten morning, and somebody flies out the door and dips into a curtsy, and you just want to be
right.
Up until the late 90s, Ivor had a full-time staff. But these days, Queen's cousins have got to get their hands dirty.
We've got some jobs to do.
Good. Tell me what
You're
to
going
do.
to follow us in the buggy.
Ivor and James run a wedding business, a cafe, and do most of the estate's maintenance work themselves.
Is that deer poo?
Yes, that is dear.
That is deer poo.
Yeah.
So these are all to come out.
Yeah.
Well,
they're tricky though.
They are. I see what you mean.
And mind your back and your knees. I've pulled my knee.
Good smell, isn't it?
We've got another pair of waders. I should go get those.
Do you think?
Oh Lord.
Oh no, hang on. Whoa. This presumably is exactly what you imagined life as a member of the extended royal family would entail.
Yeah, no surprises here at all.
Yeah, literally knee-deep in shit.
Knee-deep in shit, stench. I thought there'd be a lot of people around to do this sort of thing.
Flunkies are there? None.
Very thin on the ground.
This.
Welcome to my world, Zander.
Come on.
It's done nothing.
No, it's done nothing. You're completely right. Total waste of time.
Yeah.
Total waste.
And now try and move.
I have a bath.
It's nap time.
It's nap time?
Yeah.
And then we reconvene for drinks?
Yep.
Lovely.
After a quick refresh, it's time to get ready for dinner. But this isn't quite your average Saturday tea time. There's a chef in the kitchen preparing our supper. And I've been told the dress code is a smoking jacket and no tie. So I've brought my best with me.
Cheers, guys.
Lovely to be here. I have spotted, there's a photograph over there of the palace. You're so good at being hospitable and lovely that I, for a moment, forget that I'm in the company of royalty.
Oh, rubbish.
And then I'd spy a little photograph like that and go, oh, Lord, yes, I remember now. I remember why I'm here. What the hell's that like when you're on the balcony there? I mean, that's quite a thing.
Well, that was me in 1967.
So the invitation came, saying, please, will you come for...
It was always by Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, because as a senior lady,
Yeah.
She was in charge of the Queen's birthday parade.
Which is true.
So she's in charge. And, of course, you know, the family's really got very large, so we don't go anymore.
Are you told where you're going to stand?
No. But, I mean, you know, the Queen goes out the centre door with the immediate family, and then all the cousins and the more distant cousins would all go to the sides, and it was just a matter of course.
So there's not like the little sort of footmarks saying you will
No,
be here.
not at all.
Right, I see.
But, of course, you know, the children would all just scamper out, and you'd always have the fly past. All the kids wanted to look at that and get in the best positions. So they were sort of barging through to the front.
Yeah.
That's, you know, that's kids, isn't it?
James, what's it like for you joining this wider royal family and then joining Ivor's family?
Obviously, I'm not a dad, but now I'm a stepfather. Having them in my life has just been amazing.
James never really wanted to get married, and I pushed him only because I wanted to validate him and give him a position, because it couldn't have been easy being Ivor Mountbatten's boyfriend.
So you think that means that you're on equal terms, doesn't it? And also, this is a bold and brave new step for the extended royal family. I mean, you're the first same-sex marriage in the royal family, I think, aren't you?
In any royal
family,
dynasty,
really?
absolutely.
Really?
I've made history.
That's brilliant. You've made history.
Oh, I know. There we go. Alexander, over there.
Am I being interviewed?
Although no official statement was made on this historic moment, Ivor and James's nuptials had the full blessing of the whole royal family.
So this is a cauliflower soup served with parmesan beignet, roasted scallop, lemon thyme oil.
Wow. That sounds fab.
Oh, absolutely delicious. When you are together as a family and when you've come in from the balcony, is it like a normal family?
Yes,
is it all
absolutely. And that's what everybody seems to forget. We all have our ups and downs.
Of course.
Everybody has their own internal arguments. And it's the same anywhere.
But the formality is dropped.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. But of course, you will always remember that the Queen is the Queen.
The Queen is the Queen. What's the protocol with the Queen? What do you call the Queen?
Ma'am. Ma'am. You would say Your Majesty to begin with, and then always ma'am.
That's just normal.
Yeah. It's like when we went to school, we would always call the headmaster Sir.
Sir, of course.
Absolutely. You wouldn't think anything of it. It was just Sir. Yeah.
Go up to Balmoral? Do you go to...
Once, Prince Edward we were all at school together at Gordonstown.
Gordonstown is the royal choice, the school in northeastern Scotland to which the Duke of Edinburgh went himself. Prince Charles is said to have enjoyed as good a wish.
And actually, I have to say, I loved it.
Did you?
It was really great fun. Yeah,
good.
It was really good fun. But, you know, schooling has so changed over the years. I wouldn't send my children to the north of Scotland. But when we were young, parents didn't really have an awful lot to do with their children. You know, and I think it was a fabulous school because it taught us a lot of independence. We all learned to sail. Would go off all around the north coast of Scotland, learning to, get on in close confinement. I loved it, really loved it.
Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed this somewhat unique evening, but I'm itching to get back on the road with Olga, as I'm hoping she might spill the beans about her history with Prince Charles.
God, I was so virginal.
I'm on a road trip, hoping to get to know Her Majesty a tiny bit better through the eyes of her family. So far, I've met a cousin on the Queen's father's side of the royal family tree.
Shite. My language gets worse and worse as we move.
And, of course, an international cousin, my travelling companion, Russian Princess Olga Romanov.
Oh, bugger. Now what am I going to do?
I mean, is there still a fairy story thing that attaches to royalty, do you think?
Yes and no. It all depends how many times they tell you about their problems on television, which I'm afraid I'm not very keen on.
Yes, your view on the Sussexes, for example.
Not great. I mean, the Queen's never sat there and said about anything that makes her miserable, has she? She's always got on with it.
She gets on.
The most she ever did was that Annus Horribilis. What was it? She said
Horribilis,
yes. Which I thought was wonderful. I think a bit of mystique and all that is a very good thing. Oh, now we're driving round and round the green.
Yeah, there we go.
Shit, fuck. Sorry.
Don't you?
Dear, dear, dear.
No, it's all right. It's okay.
Lovely.
Just time for one last cuppa with Olga before I leave her to meet my next Queen's cousin.
Beautifully driven, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Weren't you being lined up as potential partner for Prince Charles?
I certainly was put in Queen as a potential partner for Prince Charles. They did articles on the 5 foreign princesses that possibly could marry.
OK, when they were putting that list together, what do you think are the things they were looking for?
A title, foreign, breeding,
yeah,
and possibly, because I was 17 and they were all quite young, a virginity.
Yeah, go on, let's give her the benefit of the doubt.
I was definitely.
Down she goes.
God, I would say virginal. So that sort of ticked the boxes.
Yeah. You don't suppose someone in the palace reads these articles and puts them in an envelope and puts them under Prince Charles's door?
Not quite.
I'm in Norfolk to meet a cousin on the Queen Mother's side of the family, a Bowes lion.
Around the corner there are some nuts, all in pots.
Who also happens to be the closest of the Queen's cousins I'll be meeting.
Anything else for you?
No, that's everything, thank you.
Victoria Pryor is the great-niece of the Queen Mother. Her mother, Margaret Rhodes, was the Queen's first cousin and closest companion.
Which makes Victoria the Queen's first cousin once removed. She's also the Queen's goddaughter. I don't suppose anyone in Clyde knows that the person who's serving them their delicious, fresh, baked cakes over the counter is the Queen's goddaughter and indeed first cousin. But I imagine that's probably how Victoria likes it to be.
Can I get Eccles cake, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
I think what will be interesting when meeting Victoria is she's a Bowes lion, so therefore she comes from the family side of the Queen. She's not from the formal side, the royal side. And I think that's going to be fascinating. Victoria.
Ah,
hello.
Hi.
Nice
How
to
lovely.
Look at this.
I know, it's amazing,
This is
isn't it? Come
wow,
in,
how
come
exciting, thank you. Oh,
So this
look
is
at
picnic
this.
fare.
This is heaven. Great hunks of cake.
You've got to have hunks of cake.
Has the Queen been here? I have to ask.
No. She did say she must come, but it's too difficult. You'd have to close all the roads and you'd have to do this. And,
yeah.
You know. Sophie Wessex has been quite a few times.
Yeah.
Nobody notices her. She just comes
dressed,
in looking like she's just one of the yummy mummies.
I suppose a lot of people would imagine that if you're a cousin of the Queen's, you therefore wear a tiara all the time and
of course.
Forever, you know, followed by footmen and travel anywhere in a coach. But in fact, you're working 6 days a week, supplying food to the people of Clyde. I mean, that's...
Yeah. We're all just perfectly ordinary people. The Queen Mother and my granny were very close, and the Queen Mother was unbelievably fond of Mummy and her siblings. So she spent so much of her childhood playing with the princesses.
And they were almost like sisters, really.
I mean, Mummy really, really loved the Queen Mother.
Yeah.
And the Queen Mother has, in the past, sort of said, you know, that Mummy was like a third daughter.
Yeah.
Victoria's mother, Margaret, was the Queen's best friend and closest companion. From childhood holidays right up to Margaret being the Queen's bridesmaid, the two women shared their whole lives together.
Sandringham isn't that far away from here, is it?
Mummy never stayed with us. She always stayed at Sandringham.
Really?
It's so much more comfortable, darling.
What I think so fascinating is that being a Bowes lion, you're very, very, very close to the royal family and completely normal.
Yeah.
Your relationship with them is just like any family relationship.
Yeah.
They just happen occasionally to have to run off out through that door and wave from a balcony and then back they come in. You look at a picture like this, which I have to say is one of my favourite pictures of the Queen with your mother. It kind of sums it all up.
I know. Just total normality.
Total normality. And look how happy she is.
Well, they're both in Scotland. So that makes them both happy to begin with.
Yeah.
And they are showing off their shoes that they had made in the 40s together.
They're identical shoes. Just delightful. Because your eye almost passes over and then you go, whoa! That's cool. It's
I know,
Queen.
it just looks like two slightly elderly ladies in their kilts.
Yes.
I mean, the Queen would have loved just to have been a country lady with her animals.
It's amusing the way she enjoys this, isn't it? Thank you.
You know her, though.
Yes.
From a very tender side to her, that obviously is not the public side.
No.
I mean, for example, what do you call her?
Oh, Ma'am.
Ma'am.
Yes. Mummy called her Lilibet, but we call her Ma'am.
Ma'am.
If she's staying, then first thing in the morning you curtsy, and then you don't have to curtsy after that.
Really?
It's the etiquette.
That is the etiquette. Look.
And that's just both of them looking heavenly.
That's just lovely.
It is really nice, isn't it? Putting the world to rights.
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, she's incredible the way she looks after everybody. You know, I mean, she looked after Mummy. You know, she was so good. At the end of 1980, when my father hadn't been terribly well, the Queen asked her if she wouldn't mind living in suburbia. And Mummy was like, yeah. And she said, well, there's a house in the Great Park, if you'd like it, which was a godsend.
Yeah.
And, you know, Mummy was back in the bosom of her family. That's Mummy and the Queen Mother. I'm not sure where that is, actually. She would come and have a swift alcoholic. Dubonnie and it.
And it. It was lovely.
This is our wedding photo when John and I got married.
Yeah.
So that's at the Royal Chapel in the Great Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time people look and say, oh, it's a really nice wedding photograph. And then they go, oh, hang on a minute.
Hang on a moment or two.
No, she used to, I mean, I always got a Christmas present.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Always. And I got a set of Winnie the Pooh books.
Very important.
I got Twister.
Oh, from the Queen?
Yes.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, she goes even higher in my estimation now. Do you think she sat up with her Argos catalogue going through it?
What was Victoria?
Yes, I wonder that. Look at these lovely letters.
This one was when we asked her if she'd come to my wedding to John.
I've marked down in my diary the date of October the 30th for the service of Blessing in Royal Lodge Chapel, and hope very much I'll be able to come, as it is down to be a Saturday, when I'm at Windsor. I hope you've all been enjoying your time up here. So this is Balmoral, I suppose it's Balmoral there. The midges yesterday at the log cabin were a nightmare for the little children. It was lovely to see you at the Gillies Ball, with love from your godmother, Elizabeth. That's very lovely, Elizabeth R. Yes, so Elizabeth R. Yes, not me, Elizabeth. Oh.
Yeah.
Elizabeth. Oh.
That's just one that just, you know, thank you from me writing to her.
Dear Victor, I much appreciate your thoughts and sympathy at the death of my mother. We must all be thankful for the encouragement and pleasure she gave so many during her long life. Isn't that lovely?
Because Mummy and the Queen were, you know, at her bedside when she died.
To have been through the good and bad, you know, all those incredible bonds they must have shared. And it's this bond that makes Victoria the closest Queen's cousin I'm meeting on this journey. But are there others out there who don't yet know they can count this woman as their cousin?
No.
I've been immersing myself in the extraordinary world of the Queen's family.
These first pictures were to capture the imagination of the world.
So far, I've met cousins from 3 branches of Her Majesty's family tree, which can be traced right back to King Alfred the Great in the 9th century. So, with such a huge family, how many of us, Joe Public, could also be related to the Queen? Apparently, 1 in 12 of us believe we might be.
Laura. Hello, how do you do?
Nice to meet you.
And you. Now, there's so much to talk to you about.
I'm in Oxford to meet Laura House, a researcher from Ancestry.
So if you're wanting to find out about your own ancestry, let's say you had, I don't know, maybe there's a rumour flying around, old Auntie Molly used to say that we're all descended from good Queen Bess. How often do you find those are rooted in truth?
More often than not, they are not true.
Oh, really? I was about to nod sagely. I thought you were going to say, yeah, more often than not, they're true. I was going, yes, I thought that. Oh, not true.
Often things will get passed down and it starts with a grain of truth. And then from one generation to the next, it gets exaggerated a little bit and then a little bit more until it becomes a completely different story. However, now and again, you do find that there is some truth in the story, and that's always really exciting.
Oh, and believe me, it's a pretty big moment when you find out that you're related to royalty.
And we can go back all the way here to William the Conqueror.
However distant.
This is absurd.
You can see down here, this is the King Ethelred, and all up there, that's the Dunbar family.
Retired engineer Cathy Cormack lives in Tadworth in Surrey.
We just grew up with this family history all around us. We all knew we'd been descended from King Ethelred. It was well known in the family.
Which would make her an extremely distant cousin of our Queen.
I guess everybody wants to be related to royalty, and so is it true or isn't it true? And how can I prove it one way or the other and sort of sort it out? Great-grandmother.
Cathy's grandfather James believed his grandmother Jemima was the illegitimate child of Elizabeth Nichol and one Sir George Dunbar, a Scottish nobleman and rumoured descendant of King Ethelred.
I think my grandfather would be very proud that I've continued on his lines with family research, because it meant so much to him that I think he'd be glad that at least one of his grandchildren was carrying on.
We've arranged for Cathy to come and meet us. All she knows is that we've passed her family tree on to Ancestry to see what they can uncover.
To have the family tree confirmed as being correct would be absolutely incredible. But whichever way it goes, I think it's still a wonderful story.
All these things here. Aha! Cathy.
Yes.
Hello, how do you do?
I'm fine, thank you. Hi.
Very nice to meet you. I'm Alexander.
Lovely to meet you.
Okay, do you want to come over here?
Yes.
Come and stand. Take your station. Now, we are coming to the end of a journey that I think you've been on all your life.
More or less, yes.
So when did you first become aware of this story?
I don't remember being first told about it, but I suppose I was about 5 or 6, you know, so I'd just grown up with the idea. My grandfather used to live with us, and he always talked about it.
Well, Laura's been working on what information she's had from you, and we are going to hear. I'm so excited. We're going to hear what you found.
OK, well, Cathy, you found a baptism transcript, didn't you, for Jemima Dunbar?
Yes.
Showing that she was the daughter of George Dunbar?
Yes.
The issue was that you weren't sure if that was the Sir George Dunbar.
No, that was really the issue, you know.
That was the first issue. So we began by looking into parish records, and we can confirm that, in fact, Jemima was the daughter of Sir George Dunbar.
Wow.
Wow, I've got a little goosebump moment going on there.
That is the first discovery.
That's huge.
It is.
Well, that brings us to our next point.
Yeah.
So you believed that you were descended via Sir George Dunbar from King Ethelred.
Yeah, yeah.
And that King Ethelred was your closest royal ancestor connecting you to the Queen. Well, we have found some connections.
Oh, wow.
And you are also connected to the Queen via...
Yeah. More.
You are, in fact, a direct descendant of King James V of Scotland, who is the father of Mary, Queen of Scots.
I haven't found that one.
Wow. That's extraordinary.
And we have a tree here that shows that through James V of Scotland, you are also descended Prince of Henry VIII.
Yeah.
So you are a Tudor, a Plantagenet of York.
Yeah.
You are a Princess of Scotland.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, it's all true.
It's all true.
I was thinking that, you know, so there's probably some fantastic story made up in the Victorian times.
Isn't that extraordinary? So there you are. You're a cousin of the Queen's. I've spent this entire show meeting cousins of the Queen's.
Yes.
And how lovely to meet another.
Would you like to know exactly how closely related you are to the Queen?
OK.
You are the Queen's 13th cousin once removed.
13th cousin once removed.
You are, in fact, related to the Queen in several different ways. You are also connected to her through her Bowes Lion side, through Elizabeth, the Queen Mother.
Oh, OK.
So you are related to her on both sides of her family. You're a double cousin.
Double cousin.
What about that? Double cousin.
Oh, well, you know, I'm surprised she doesn't invite me round to
Take your pick
tea.
of which side of the church to sit on at royal weddings. That's amazing.
Yes.
That's quite an exclusive group.
It is.
Because they tended to marry within the nobility. So it's pretty special.
It's so brilliant.
How proud do you think your grandfather would be to learn all this?
Oh, I think he would be over the moon about it. He never doubted it for a second. He was absolutely convinced of it. I think the rest of the family will be so excited that I'm...
Won't they?
So I'm so glad it's true.
Me too.
Well, I feel I know Her Majesty just a little bit better after spending time with some of her nearest and dearest. And as Cathy's story proves, there may just be a little bit of the Queen's DNA in all of us.
I live in the attic, which was 2 servants' rooms knocked into one.
Yeah.
Watch the step, please.
Oh, yes.
In 1918, Olga's great-uncle, Nicholas II, his wife and their 5 children were all murdered by communist revolutionaries. This massacre of the Russian royal family sent shockwaves around the world. George V sent a ship to the Crimea to rescue his surviving relations. Olga's grandmother and her family were among the lucky few who made it to Britain.
These trunks, this one was Ksenia's, Grand Duchess Ksenia, my grandmother. This was Maria Dagmar's, my great-grandmother's. They came out on HMS Marlborough when they were rescued.
So these were packed in
They were packed
great
by
haste.
servants. They
Oh,
also
right.
left the other packing cases and things on the beach, because my great-grandmother, as she was standing in the bows of the ship, said, "What are those?" And the servants had been